In my video on December 20th, 2023, I predicted that on January 27th, 2024, which is just last Saturday, would be a very active day in general and also ripe for some kind of cyber attack. I also mentioned several other days in the coming months I believe will have a potential for larger scale cyber attacks that affect millions of people and not just select companies. Because in January 2022, the World Economic Forum issued a warning about large-scale cyber attacks being imminent within the next 2 years, they say. Well, on January 27th, Ukraine, which has the full support of the World Economic Forum, launched their own cyber attack against a Russian industrial tech firm, IPL Consulting, which engages in IT design, production of automotive and aviation components, heavy machinery, production of equipment and appliances, and other weapons infrastructure for Russia. The attack destroyed 60 terabytes of data and brought down dozens of servers and databases. In addition, on January 22nd, a Wall Street firm called Equiland, which is owned by BlackRock, Bank of America, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, and others, was hit by a breach of security that sent their systems offline. The firm processes trillions of dollars of security transactions a month, and it is not clear who the culprit was. Well, the week leading up to January 27th was very active in the world of cybersecurity. Microsoft, the Nevada Gaming Commission Board, a Pennsylvania county government office, and specific Swedish government agencies, which is about to join NATO, which is in alliance with Ukraine, they all announced that they were hit by cyber attacks. And also Wired magazine published a comprehensive article about Israeli hacking firms, and they published that on the 25th of January. And there were other articles published in that short period of time addressing similar comprehensive concerns to the United States cyber warfare infrastructure. The astrological reason for these attacks was an exalted Mars in Capricorn, and Mars is the planet of warfare, was being approached by Mercury, which is the planet of communications, and Mercury entered Capricorn on January 14th, and the full conjunction of those two happened on January 27th. So as Mercury entered Capricorn on the 14th and got closer to Mars, that activity spiked between warfare and communications. Adding fuel to that fire was Uranus, which is sudden and explosive changes, was trining that strong conjunction on the 27th. And both the Sun, which are governments, and Pluto, which is destruction and rebirth of systems, they both entered Aquarius, and Aquarius is the sign of humanity as a whole, on December 21st. So that was a very active week astrologically, which I explained in my video. And all of these factors contributed to the flurry of cyber warfare events between January 14th and January 27th. So the question is, do hackers and government cyber warfare departments hire astrologers to tell them when the best time for cyber attacks are? Well, I haven't seen any evidence to that whatsoever. But is it a coincidence that this period of time leading up to such a strong Mercury conjunction was so active in cyber attacks? Well, as an astrologer, I obviously believe that it was no coincidence. And as we look at the astrological influences, we can then get closer to exact date predictions and find ranges of time when the subtle layers of reality are more conducive to events that are brewing in the world's consciousness and also in our personal lives. So it's true that cyber attacks are becoming more common in frequency and in potency, but we can use astrology to see when those periods of times are more likely going to happen. And watch my video of the general predictions that I made on December 20th of last year for the other upcoming dates within the next year. But in short, the eclipse season in early April, specifically April 18th to April 22nd, when the planet of wealth, which is Jupiter, conjuncts the planet Uranus. And this conjunction can cause sudden disruptions in financial systems in general. And also just before that time, Mars will be transiting over Saturn, which will slow down people's self-defense mechanisms and the ability to defend oneself, and that could mean security firms having their defenses down or bogged down in certain ways. And also when Mars and Saturn are together like that, problems and problems can become more disorientating, and we might not know what we can change in our life and what we're unable to change, and what's inevitable, things that we just have to accept. And then finally, Mercury and Venus during that same period of time in April coming up, Mercury and Venus, which are the planets of commerce, business, and exchanging ideas, they're going to be transiting right over Rahu, and Mercury will be retrograde at that time as well, which can then further escalate the sense of confusion and also illusions about those areas in life and those areas in world events. Again, commerce, the economy, business, and diplomacy in general. So what can we do ourselves about cyber attacks? There are some things that we can do in our personal lives that can help diminish the collateral effects, and some of those are invest your money in hard assets, things that don't rely on the internet, such as land, real estate, tools, seeds, and food and water that can last you a week or two to survive if there's a massive internet shutdown when you don't have access to your money. And also be friendly with your neighbors and have, as I said, supplies in case of some kind of emergency happens when electronic systems could go down on a mass scale. This isn't meant to scare or cause any kind of fear in people, but we have to be very smart when it comes to these warnings and these warnings that are being given by governments about the potential of what we depend on every day, the internet, going down for indeterminate amounts of time. Other things that you can do is back up all of your digital information onto physical hard drives, and basically under no circumstances rely on cloud services. That's like putting your information in charge of somebody else, and if the internet goes down, you simply don't have access to that information. It's not a cloud, it's just another computer that you're putting all of your information on. So keep your information on your own computers and on your own physical drives that you can have in your own home. And if you use cryptocurrencies, don't store your cryptocurrencies on exchanges, but put them into cold wallets so that if the internet were to go down, all of those servers, when they reconnect, the money doesn't disappear. So that's just a quick update about the cyber warfare realm that we have been warned about by different institutions. And it's interesting to look at when the high times for the possibilities of those could be, but also just to be smart and to look at the periods of time that are coming up where if we don't have a worldwide cyber event, these are still very active periods of time. And now I'm talking about the eclipse period in March and then in April coming up. It's going to be a very active time astrologically. And also keep in mind that the big event in 2001, that happened on a fairly quiet day astrologically. No one would have picked that day for something, a worldwide changing event that cycled us into a whole new period of history. We wouldn't have picked that day. So it was very quiet. So a lot of times these massive events will happen under everyone's noses, and they happen when people are least expecting it. But that being said, we still want to be very careful when there can be a lot of action going on in the energetic world of astrology. So I hope that helps, and we'll see you in the next video.